macOS Sequoia has over 75 new features and changes, but Apple also added several new settings that you might not even know exist, and you might want to consider changing these right away. So we're going to start with window snapping because there's more to this feature than you might have initially realized. So this feature allows you to take your windows and drag them to a corner to put them in that order. So basically, if you want two windows over here and then maybe you want a couple of other windows on the left-hand side, you can go ahead and do that by simply dragging to those corners and it will arrange it accordingly. However, if you're not having much luck getting that window to stick in the area you want it to go in, you can hold the Option key and then try dragging it to that area. However, you can see this one's being stubborn. It doesn't even allow me to put it in this lower fourth. Well, there's another way to change this. We could also hover over the green button right here in our window, and you can see that we have the fourths. So if I click on that, that will put it down in this fourth that was not being taken up. However, there's even more here. So if you hover over the green button and hold Option, you get more fill and arrange options, and also for move and resize. So all of these have additional options when you hold the Option key. And this allows you to get very specific with the corner. So if I want this to go in the bottom right corner, I could just click right here and it will go over top of my Safari that I have right here. You can even go up to window and then go to move and resize, and you can see all of them here as well. However, once you get your windows situated, you'll notice that we have some padding. We have a little gap in between all of these windows. And if you do not want this, if you want all of your windows to connect, you can change that, and there's a setting for that. So if you go into your settings, go down to desktop and dock, scroll down to the Windows section, and then the very last option here is tiled windows have margins. Now take a look at this margin right here once I deselect this. That is turned on by default, and if you turn that off, it will get rid of the margin, the padding in between these windows. And when you're moving windows around with macOS Sequoia now, you might accidentally have your window go up to the menu bar right here and let go. That's happened to me a couple of times already, and it takes over the entire screen, and I don't like that. Well, you can change that as well. So go right back into your desktop and dock settings, and if you don't like that, disable this setting right here, drag windows to menu bar to fill screen. I feel like with this new window tiling, you do not need that any longer. And here's another reason you might not need that, because now you can change the title bar double click behavior. When you double click on the title bar of a window, you can now have that set to fill the entire screen space. So if you go into your settings and then go down right back to desktop and dock, and right here near the top, we have double click a Windows title bar to zoom, minimize, do nothing, or the new option, which is fill. So before in macOS Sonoma, if you double clicked on a window, it would just zoom it. So if I double click right here, it would zoom it, it would make it taller, and you could also have that set to minimize. But now in macOS Sequoia, if you set that to fill and then you double click, you can see it will take over the whole screen. And again, for me, that was another reason to turn off this setting right here to drag the windows to menu bar to fill screen. This next one requires macOS 15.1, but it was too good to not share it with you right now. So you know how 15.1 introduces Apple Intelligence, which means that we have writing tools. So if we select a big body of text, right click, go down here to writing tools, and we can summarize that. So we can summarize that paragraph, and you can see we get our summary right there. We could also right click, go down here to writing tools, and we can proofread, we can rewrite it, we can make it friendly, we can make a list, you get it. So one thing that I noticed in macOS is that it just takes so long to get there. You have to right click, you have to go down to writing tools, then you have to go over in this menu, and then you can finally select what you want to choose. That takes forever, and it really just kills the aura of Apple Intelligence in my opinion, but we can change that and make it much easier to access. So go into your settings and go down to keyboard, and from here you want to go to keyboard shortcuts, and then go down here to app shortcuts, and you want to click on the plus underneath of all applications. And you want to keep this set to all applications, and then next to menu title, we're going to choose whatever we use most frequently. So if you use proofread most frequently, you'll insert proofread here, but if you use summarize the most, we'll use summarize right here, which that's what I use the most. So I'm going to enter summarize. And keep in mind, you have to type this exactly how it appears in the menu. So that includes the capital S right here. So once we have that set, we're going to set our keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to do Command Option S. So we're going to set that. And now if I go in here and we want to summarize that, instead of right clicking, going down here and then going to summarize, I could just use my keyboard shortcut that I just set up, which is Command Option S, and take a look at that. We have our summarization right there without needing to do all those extra mouse clicks. And we'll do proofread as Command Option P. So we'll do that. So now if we go in here and we go to Command Option P, you can see we get our proofreading with just a simple keyboard command. So this is awesome, and it saves you a lot of unnecessary mouse clicks. And while we're talking about Apple Intelligence, you want to change how you access the Type to Siri functionality with macOS 15.1. So go into your system settings and go down to Apple Intelligence in Siri, and in here you'll have the keyboard shortcut. So you can have this set at some of these presets, or you can customize this and set your own custom keyboard shortcut to activate Siri. So if I wanted this to be Control S, for example, I could just do that, and now if I press Control S on my keyboard, it will pull up Type to Siri. And you'll notice that if you change this to another keyboard shortcut after that, it remembers what you put in there previously, so you can go back and choose a previously used keyboard shortcut. And this is great because you can pull up Type to Siri and Spotlight Search without ever needing to click anywhere. Now this next one is not necessarily a setting, but there's a new method to opening up the context menu while using the keyboard that I thought you should know about. So if I'm typing something out and I want to pull up the context menu, I don't even need to use my mouse anymore, because now with macOS Sequoia, you can press Control Return and that will pull up the context menu for you, and then you can use your arrows to go up and down on this menu and do whatever you'd please. So this does not work in every application, but it does work in applications like Notes and Reminders. Now, if Apple Intelligence isn't powerful enough for what you do, our sponsor Magical might be. Magical is a free tool that takes what would be boring, repetitive tasks and does them quickly for you. Let's say I'm looking to hire a video editor and I need to add candidates to a spreadsheet. I just open up their LinkedIn profiles, hit the Magical button, it'll recognize the tabs I have opened and add their info to the spreadsheet with a click. Or if I use a CRM, I can just type / into one of the fields and Magical will automatically input their info into the form. Here's another cool feature that I use often. This is called templates. So if I want to quickly respond to comments here on YouTube, I've set that up so that when I type in -thanks, it'll write out the message I have set. And I can even customize the name to make it more personable. Or if I'm responding to a brand email, I can type in / to see my templates, select it, and fill in the custom fields I set. They also have one-click replies, kind of like Apple Intelligence, but I think the real power is in the templates and automations, since Apple Intelligence can't do that. Anyways, users save on average 7 hours per week with this Chrome extension. So if you want to try it out for yourself, use my link below to download Magical AI for free. Now here's a setting you're going to want to change for all of your web apps. So I have a web app here for my newsletter, the Apple Den, and if I go up to the menu bar and go to settings, you'll notice that we have an extensions menu now. So you'll now be able to enable extensions and content blockers in web apps. So in macOS Sequoia, we have a new video viewer. So if you're watching a video on YouTube or any other website, if you go up to the address bar and click on the reader view, you'll notice that we have a new option here called video viewer. And if you click that, it will bring the video to the forefront and you have multiple options down here. And now if you move a window over top of the viewer, it will automatically put that video in picture-in-picture mode until you move that window out of the way, and then it will put it back right up in the forefront of Safari. So this is really cool. You could also do this manually. You could add this as a picture-in-picture. So if you go to these two arrows here and then go to picture-in-picture, it will stay down there until you get it off of picture-in-picture by clicking this button. So with macOS Sequoia, we got a redesigned reader view. So if you go to the address bar and click on the reader icon and then go to show reader, this is the new reader view here, which is really nice. We have summaries over here along with our table of content. It's really convenient. And I don't know about you guys, but I prefer this over the actual default website now. Like I actually prefer the reader view as of macOS Sequoia, and I want that to show up automatically every time I go to that website. And we can do that. So go to your Safari up here and go to settings, go over to websites, and from here under the general tab, we have reader, and it shows our currently open websites right here. And this setting is called automatically use reader on the websites below. So I'm going to select MacRumors to be on. I want every single web page on MacRumors to open up in the reader view now, since it's so good, instead of the traditional view. So now if I go to another website and then go back to MacRumors and go into another random article, it automatically pulls up reader for me. So I'd recommend going in here and choosing to automatically use reader on some of your favorite favorite websites because I think it'll make the experience a lot better, especially when you now have the summary view over here. So iPhone mirroring is easily one of the best macOS Sequoia features, but there's more to it than you might realize, and definitely some settings that you want to change right away. And this right here, what you see, is one of them. So I do not like how I have to sometimes put in my Touch ID or my password just to access and connect to my iPhone when I've already connected it multiple times. I shouldn't have to re-authenticate every time, and thankfully we can change that. So go up here to iPhone mirroring and go to settings, and then right here we have the option to change from ask every time to automatically authenticate, and it says access your iPhone with this Mac whenever this Mac is unlocked. So as long as it's unlocked, it will not ask you for permission like you see right here. It will not ask you for this again as long as your Mac is unlocked. So we're going to put in our passcode, we're going to quit out of iPhone mirroring and go back in, and there we go. We're in, and we did not have to put in our Mac password. And here's another setting you might want to change related to iPhone mirroring. So if you have multiple devices like I do, you want to select the right device that you want to connect to your Mac, and you can do that under your settings, go to desktop and dock, and then right here under widgets we have iPhone, and it says this iPhone will be used for iPhone mirroring and widgets, and you want to select the iPhone that you want to be mirrored to your Mac. And we do also have some keyboard shortcuts here as well. So Command 1 will take you to the home screen, Command 2 will open up the app switcher, and then go back to Command 1, and then Command 3 will open up the spotlight search so you can search for your different applications. And here's another setting you'll absolutely want to change in macOS Sequoia, and this has to do with notifications. So if you go to your notification center, of course now in macOS Sequoia, you can get phone notifications. This is not directly related to iPhone mirroring. This is a separate thing, but you can now get your notifications from your phone on your Mac. It's very useful, but sometimes it can be very distracting. So you want to go into your settings, go to notifications, and then from here, you want to go to allow notifications from iPhone, click into that, and from here, you'll want to deselect the applications that you do not want showing up on your Mac as notifications. There's just certain applications that I don't mind receiving on my phone, but they may serve as a distraction on my Mac. So this is where you want to go to disable some of those notifications. And you'll also notice we have summarized previews right here as well. I would recommend having that turned on for everything, but if for some reason you don't want your notifications summarized, you can disable that here as well. By the way, if you want to reference these settings later on, or you just prefer a written format, I've created a PDF companion guide for this video specifically, and you can download it, plus all of my past and future guides, along with hefty discounts on my wallpapers for just $6 a month. Or if you only want this one, there is also a one-time payment option available as well. So click on the link in the description below, or scan the QR code on the screen for more details. So macOS Sequoia adds a new passwords application, and that's cool, it's very useful, but you might never need to open it again after changing this setting. So allow me to set the stage for why this is so useful before I show you how to change this. So if you go into an application like WebEx, for example, I had this happen earlier today. We have the sign-in screen here, and there's no autofill. I cannot put in my email address, and I knew that I did not memorize my password because it was auto-generated. So I was gonna have to go into my passwords app, search for WebEx, and find it from there. But there was an easier way where I did not even need to go into the passwords application. So all you need to do is go into the passwords app and go up here to the settings, and from here, the very first option is show passwords in menu bar. This is disabled by default for some reason, but if you enable this, this will add a little keychain up to your menu bar, and now you can close out of passwords, and you'll probably never open it again, honestly, after having this. So now, in this scenario where I have to sign in and I don't remember my email or password, I can go up here to the passwords icon, put in my passcode, and if I just search for WebEx, it pops up right here, and if I right click, I can easily copy my username and my password right here from the menu bar. I don't even need to go into the passwords application. So I'm going to copy my username, done, and now I'm going to go back up here again, and it stays right there under suggested, and I'm going to right click and copy password, and boom, I'm done. I'm not going to have to remember that, and I don't have to open up the passwords application. Super super useful. And this will also work on websites. For example, if the autofill doesn't pop up, you could always go up here to the keychain and it will show it right here as a suggested website if it recognizes the website has a password saved for it. And again, you could just right click to copy the username and password. So next up, let's customize our audio. So if you go into your settings and then go down here to accessibility and then go down to the audio tab, and from here we have a new option underneath of headphone accommodations for custom audio setup. So if you turn this on, you'll be able to customize the sound for your AirPods or Beats headphones. So you can use an audiogram to set up a custom sound, or you can go down here to tune audio and you can change this to brightness, vocal range, balanced tone, and you also have this little slider here where you can change the optimization. And this is a setting that we've had on the iPhone for a while, but this has now made its way to the Mac. Now, if you're like me and you sit kind of far away from your computer and you don't really have the best vision in the world, sometimes it can be hard to see what you're typing. Well, this next setting is going to make your life a lot easier, and it's called hover typing. So if you go ahead into anywhere where you type, you'll notice that we have this big bar that pops up that allows us to see in big text exactly what we're typing. And this also works in applications like Notes as well, so we can see what we're typing in big text. It just makes your life a lot easier and helps you not really strain your eyes as much as you might do otherwise. So if you go into your settings here and then go down to accessibility and then into the hover text section, and from here you want to enable hover typing. So turn that on, and this joins the hover text feature as well, which is not new, but you might want to also enable this if you did not know it existed. So if you turn this on, when you go to a website, when you hover over text, if you hold the command key, it will show you that text in big zoomed in letters there. So you can see everything that is on the page as long as you hold on the command key and then just hover around everywhere. Now, if you ever get annoyed from the blinking cursor right here, so you can see in Notes, it's yellow. And of course you do have this in Messages and all throughout macOS and iOS. Every OS has this, but if you want to disable this, you now can in macOS Sequoia. So if you go into your settings, go to accessibility, and then in here, you want to go down to display. And then right here, we have prefer non-blinking cursor. So we're going to go ahead and see how this is blinking right now. If we enable this feature, it just stays solid. So it does not blink. It just stays the solid color there, which is yellow for Notes. And of course, it will be different depending on the app you're in. So let's talk about the reduce interruptions focus mode. So if you go up to your control center here and then go into focus, we have this new focus mode called reduce interruptions. And this is an excellent focus mode, but you'll probably want to tweak this. So if you go into your settings and then go down to focus and you want to find reduce interruptions. So what this focus mode does is it uses Apple Intelligence to determine which notifications are important enough to push through this focus mode. So we have intelligent breakthrough and silencing right here. Now the part you'll want to tweak is right here under allowed people and allowed applications. So if you want certain people to be able to bypass this focus mode and you get notifications from them, you can set that right here. And then also you want to go down here to add filter, and you might want to add a filter for something like your mail, calendar, and Safari. So for example, if I go into mail, you can filter your mailbox to only show mail from specific accounts when you're in this focus mode. And the whole point is, of course, to reduce interruptions and avoid distractions. So you can do that just like you can with other focus modes, but it's really good here. Reduce interruptions is a great focus mode addition. So macOS Sequoia finally integrates the calendar and reminders applications. However, you might want to change something here. So if you click on the plus, of course you can add a new reminder to calendar now, and you can also complete reminders straight from the calendar application, which is very convenient. However, the setting that you might want to change is actually inside of reminders. So if you go to your reminders and then go to the default list, you might want to change your default list now that you're going to be adding reminders from the calendar application. Maybe it's just me, but I found that I added a lot more work-oriented tasks when I started adding reminders to my calendar versus other more life things to my actual reminders application. So I use the calendar application more now to add reminders. So I've had to change this from home to videos. And now anytime I add a new reminder, it will automatically default to video. So you might just want to take a look at that and change that if you actually end up using the calendar app a lot for adding reminders. And then finally, the last setting you want to change is inside of your settings settings and then into Wi-Fi, and you want to go to the details of your currently connected Wi-Fi network. And then in here we have private Wi-Fi address, and in here you have three options: off, fixed, or rotating. And I would highly recommend you set this to rotating. So what this does is it will help reduce tracking by changing your MAC address periodically. And Apple does say that right here as well, that using a private address helps reduce tracking of your Mac by Wi-Fi network operators. And keep in mind, you do also want to have limit IP address tracking turned on as well. So these are two completely different settings. They're two independent settings. One of them changes your MAC address, so the private Wi-Fi address changes your actual Wi-Fi MAC address, whereas limit IP address tracking changes your IP address for the Mail and Safari application. So you can have those both enabled at the same time, no problem. So those are the first 17 settings that you need to change with macOS Sequoia. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and also let me know the first thing that you changed in the comments below. And now I'd recommend checking out this video right here on my favorite Mac applications, or this video on the ultimate Mac desk setup and kind of my journey behind that setup. I think you'll enjoy both of those videos. But anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.